Hello YouTube. It's been a busy day here at the project. We've been working a lot, posting a lot of videos. Record today. We posted 6 in one day, which was a lot of fun. Um, and that's actually the main subject of this last video of the night. I know I mentioned getting the Gerber done tonight, but I'm tired. I got hardly any sleep last night. I've been up all day. So, I'm going to make this quick video to you guys. It might not end up being so quick because I've got a good bit to say, but in my hand, I have the handle, the pocket clip, and the broken blade to the $1 Ozark Trail folding knife. Honestly, that was a lot of fun. Just almost 24 minutes of wailing on that knife with Bear. It was really enjoyable, and originally I was just going to make the destruction video, have a few laughs and that'd be it. But just as I saw the torture that the knife was able to take, and the more I thought about it, there was just some things that needed to be said about it. And one of those biggest things, and this might shock you from all the things we said while we were recording, is that I think that this knife, in some respects, is just great. Allow me to elaborate that. One way, this is probably the most unconventional way in which this knife is a good one, is that it's just fun to do like we did, Just find it and just play around with it until it breaks. It's basically just like when you were a little kid and you'd go to the dollar store and get like one of those plastic guns or something and play around with it. It's a lot of fun. Other way in which I think it could be a really great knife is if you're a parent. If you have children and you're wanting to raise them up to be responsible with knives, but you don't want them having something too expensive or valuable that they'll lose, or something that's you don't want to give your kid like a Benchmade Osborne or like a Cold Steel Spartan or something like that for their first knife, because that's a serious blade. Kids will hurt themselves on that, or they'll lose it. Trust me, I was a little kid that lost every knife he had. But I think that the $1 Ozark Trail is a great, I guess you could call it a training knife for young kids that are learning knife responsibility and safety. It's a good one for them to carry. It's not too big, but it looks cool. It really looks cool. You're a little kid, you look at it, you see that fully serrated blade, it's something you would like to have. And at $1, it's really affordable. Sorry. Another way in which I really like this knife is that if you're the kind of person that never uses a knife hardly, or if you do, you're just the kind of person that carries it for, opening packages, nothing wrong with it at all. If you're just slicing tape open with it, it's going to get dull and you're going to need to replace it fairly quickly probably. But, you can't really go wrong with it. Another way in which I really just can't really say a bad thing about the knife is if you're facilitating it for something that's really just basic or that you don't care. I'm tempted to go back to Walmart and buy up a couple more of these and just stick one in my tackle box. Stick a couple in my tackle box, just cutting bait or whatever I need to with it. If it falls in the lake, oh no, I lost my $1 Ozark. But it's not anywhere near a high quality knife. It's extremely low quality. And I'm saying that just because it's a matter of fact. You can't pay $1 and expect like everything from a knife. You can't get like top shelf knife performance for bottom shelf price. Actually, I'm pretty sure this price is below the bottom shelf, like somebody knocked it down and it rolled under. But a lot of people will watch the video and say, Cliff, what are you talking about? You wailed on this knife for like 24 minutes and it didn't even break until then. That's true. but I was trying to break it. I wasn't working with it. One of the points I was making is that the knife doesn't excel in any way at normal utility tasks. Like I said earlier, light utility, just occasionally opening a package or something, fine. But I'm talking like regular utility usage, it's not a great knife for that. So I think the point of this video was mainly just to show how much punishment it could take, which honestly, like I said, I'm surprised. Really and truly. I was expecting it to just, snap in half from the get-go and for it to just be, 5-minute video. But it really turned into something deeper than that for me, and I think for other knife users, um, it's just a cool little knife to have for, like I said, raising your children, small knife for very light utility, or just something that you really don't care what happens to it. Or if you're like some people I know, like Bear, the co-owner of this channel, you just love any kind of knife to have. If you just want another knife to add to your collection, why not? It's $1 and another knife that you own. So that's all I'm going to say about the Ozark for tonight. However, I'm going to segue into another thing that I have to say, a knife that I bought with fairly low expectations, really and truly, but that absolutely blew me away and is now one of my EDCs. It's actually featured in my EDC video, and this is where I'm going to start talking about value knives. Value, value, value. It's something that everybody needs these days. Money's tight for everyone. Everyone's looking for the most bang for their buck. And a knife that I think everybody that uses a knife regularly for utility needs, this one right here. You might recognize it, might not. For those of you that don't, sorry, wrong side of the blade. This is my Sheffield. This knife, I got it at Sears. After I got my job, I carried my Spartan every day, and I used it a lot at work. Excuse me. But it was just a little too big for a lot of the stuff that I needed. I wanted a smaller knife with a pocket clip. The Spartan was the first knife that I ever carried with a pocket clip, and it made me realize how just I have to have a pocket clip now, or else I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. So I went to Sears one day with my buddies, and I was, I had money at the time because I had a job. And, I was expecting maybe pick up a Kershaw for a little over 20 or something like that. Out of Kershaw's, all they had were Leathermans. The cheapest one was like $40, which, I mean, at the time, I could have afforded it, but I just didn't want to risk it. So I saw the Sheffield in there. First glimpse, I saw the flipper on it. I thought, whoa, is this an assisted knife? $10? Wow. And of course I saw Sheffield, and growing up I heard about Sheffield steel and everything. I don't know if it's actually, I highly doubt that it's Sheffield steel just because of the price point. But honestly, this knife has exceeded every expectation I had for it. It's all aluminum, or I'm sorry, not all aluminum. I don't really know the exact specs on it. It's one of those where they don't even hardly give you any specifications on it. The handle is all metal. It's got the pillared construction, which I just like it. It keeps it clean. It's got a liner lock. I think you can adjust the pivot screw. I'm not exactly sure, but when I first unboxed it, my expectations were about, my expectations actually met. Because, I picked it up out of the box. It's like, oh yeah, flipper, let's see how it does. That's what I got. I've tried flipping it open a few times, couldn't really actuate it. I mean, now, since I've been carrying it and using it, it's just, I would swear it's assisted sometimes, but, I just carried it for a little while, took it home, put a great edge on it. That's one thing I will say. After only about 2 minutes of sharpening, this thing had a razor edge on it, and man, it held it. It will hold a good edge, and you can put a great edge on it, and it's fairly easy to sharpen. I'm not sure what steel they use. I'd like to find out. Just guessing at the price point and everything, maybe 440. I'm assuming just because it's, you know, fairly inexpensive, readily available steel. Yeah, it's got the dual thumb stud. My only dislike of it is that it's only tip down carry, but as I showed in my EDC video, I usually just carry it tucked into my boot, or just slip it over, just keep it tucked down in there, have an extra knife on me. But it's a great knife just to, like, take out, use. I didn't understand just how strong it was until the last time my band played a show. We were making deer skull candle holders, and I was going to try to make a hole in the top of it, and at first I was just going to try to break a hole in it. Didn't work. So I decided, this Sheffield's tough. It was a cheap knife. I wonder how well the tip will hold up. So I got this deer skull, and I set it down, and I grabbed my Sheffield, just down like that, and I slammed it into the top of it as hard as I possibly could, like a couple of times. See the point on it? Absolutely perfect. So just being completely blown away by this, I got a 2x4 and I did, some bends on it trying to get it. Tip never moved, not at all. So at this point I was like, I just couldn't believe it. So, I grabbed the knife, I did some over strikes and just wailed on it with the spine wax. And this liner lock has not budged at all. After all the torture I've put it through, I have not had a single, I haven't had a fraction of an inch of play in this. It's just held up unbelievably well for the price point. Which, I guess the biggest point of this video is that you can't always go by price. The $1 Ozark Trail, you can safely assume in most cases that it's not going to be the best of knives. And I mean, by knife standards, this Sheffield isn't the best of knives. It's not going to hold a razor edge for years. But if you are somebody that wants a knife for just general work purposes, highly recommended. I absolutely love it. I would recommend this knife to anybody. Later on in the project, I want to do some torture tests with it to see how well it holds up. And I definitely think it's going to be a multiple part video series. This thing is incredibly tough. That's about all I have to say about that tonight. Sheffield brand, check it out. You can find them just about anywhere. They make several small folding knives. This one's my favorite. But Bear has a few Sheffields. I'm sure he'll show them off at some point in the project, and just check them out. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. They're just wonderful knives for the price point that will last you for a long time and just give you, a lot of enjoyment and a lot of service. And I think that's really what the heart of knife collecting is. It's enjoyment you get from the knife and how well it performs for you. And that's what I'll leave you with. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.